If you're thinking of selling your home in the future and you're wondering what an RPR is or what a real property report does, well, this video is for you. So stay tuned and we're going to talk everything real property reports right after this. Hey, my name is Jared Chamberlain, and I am here in Chamberlain Real Estate Group's office, which we are in Calgary, Alberta. And I am joined today with the wonderful Jessica Erstadt. Welcome.
Hello.
Jessica is, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna say you're our RPR ninja.
Yeah, I like that title.
You like it? Okay, good. Okay, because I think it should stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're talking about RPRs, which is a real property report. And if you're planning on selling your house, you gotta have one of these, especially if it's not a condo or a bare land, all this kind of stuff, but a real property report. And what does it do? What is it? We're gonna talk about a lot of questions, 4 or 5 different questions. So let's start off with the first question. What does RPR mean? What does that mean for real estate?
Okay, so an RPR stands for Real Property Report. And what that looks like, it is essentially a land survey of your home. So it will show everything that is on your property and all permanent structures.
Love it.
Yeah.
Which is so true. And so real property report. So there's also, like, back in the day, there were survey reports, all these different names for them. But RPR, real property report, when you hear that, that's what this is.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to go back and forth. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff here. So what does compliance mean? Because if you have one, what do you got to do with it? You have to make it compliant in order for it to be good. Let's start with that. So, so why don't we talk a little bit about what does it mean for an RPR to be compliant?
So essentially that means that it meets all city bylaws and the city approves it. So everything on your property is according to bylaw.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's really that simple, because it also means, and you were talking before, like we've had situations where someone has wanted to build a garage or a deck or something and they pulled a permit. We'll talk maybe a little bit about that, because that could be something for someone who is, they bought a house, it doesn't have a garage, but they're going to build one. And then they have to update their report because something on your property has changed.
Yes.
So anytime you add an air conditioner, a deck, you even change the stairs on your deck, the location.
Yes, that's come up too.
A lot.
Yeah.
Planters, garage, big structures.
Yeah.
As long as it's a non-movable.
Non-movable. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as it's a non-movable structure, then you're going to have to update your real property report.
Yeah, if it is something that's permanent.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe talk about an example that you've seen where someone's pulled a garage permit or something where they're going to do a development, and they do that, but then they don't follow the rules.
Oh, yes. So for that is if you built a garage, we're going to update your RPR again. That way it can show the garage that you built. For garages, you should do a permit. That would be important to make sure you're putting it in the correct spot. But we've had them in the past where someone will either have built a deck or a garage and it's not according to their permit. So they have a permit there, which is awesome. But if it's the incorrect dimensions and then it encroaches into city land or it's built too large, then we have an issue.
Especially if they don't follow what the city said they could do.
Yes.
Right? Because when you go for a permit, you basically are creating a plan, say, I want to do this. It follows the bylaws. You send that or take that to the city. Well, probably send it now digitally and they approve it. But you do that. And through that process, they will say, yes, we approve this exact plan.
Yes.
And if you don't follow that, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Because when it comes time to get your RPR, you're going to have to redo it all.
Yeah, because it might not be according to bylaw.
And so what is the solution that when that happens for people?
So when that happens, what I've seen is relaxation permits will have to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a long process. It depends on a lot of things, but it can range between 6 to 12 weeks for a development permit, which is a long time. And that can hold up if your house is closing. That can cause a little bit of issues.
Yeah, especially if you delayed the process of getting your RPR and you're waiting until closer to the closing of your possession. Like
Yes.
you're like, I don't want to get a new one until my house sells. Not the best idea.
Yeah.
And so what we really suggest is when you're selling your house, be proactive. So when you're putting your house up for sale or even before, then go get your RPR. Because if you've got some of these issues that come up, you could easily be looking at like how many weeks of delays have you seen?
Oh, I've seen RPRs maybe take like 4 months.
Yeah.
That one was super complicated, but it was 4 months. It was
Yeah.
a long time.
And you don't have 4 months. No, you don't. You definitely don't. All right. So how much does a real property report, cost in Calgary? What are the ranges that you've seen? And I guess a follow-up question is there's 2 ways of going about it. It's updating what you currently have.
Yes.
And it's getting a brand new one. So what are some of those numbers that you've seen out there?
So for updating your RPR, we would always recommend going through the survey company that you originally went through.
Yeah.
It saves you a bit of money, which is great. So normally for an updated RPR, it could cost you anywhere between $500 to $700 plus.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's including a compliance stamp. So,
Yeah, totally. And how much is the compliance stamp? What do you think?
compliance stamp currently for the city of Calgary is $199.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's all done digitally now too.
Yes, so everything is done online, especially during this time. So everything is just submitted in online, and then they send you a digital stamp, which is awesome.
Cool. And for a new one, so when we're going to show you some examples of RPRs here too, and what to look for, whatever, and we'll show you how to figure out who your current, if you have one, who to call. We'll show you how to do that. But if you don't have one and you've, let's say, built a new house and you never got one, or you lost the one, one thing you can do is you can call the lawyer that you closed your home with, and sometimes they might have that still on file, depending on how long ago it was, because that has to be reviewed when you're firming up your deal and you want to look at that. So that's one way. Is there any other ways to find an old RPR?
Yes. So I would also recommend if you were to call the planning department for the city
the archives,
and see if they have one on file.
Yeah.
You can always ask and just say that you just want to know what the survey company was on the bottom. And that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. That could save you lots of money.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of how
definitely have
much,
done
but I
that.
have no idea. And so if you can't find your old one, no one has an old copy of it.
Yeah.
How much have you seen some of the new ones go for?
So a new RPR can range anywhere with compliance stamp between $700 to $1,200 plus.
Yeah.
Now, when you're getting into a higher amount, that would also depend on like the size of your property, where your property is located. All of those factors come into play.
As well as how many encroachments, how much cost is tied to
Yeah.
it, how many relaxations, is there missing development permits, like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, that's really good. That's good. And so, if you have any questions about RPRs, throw them in the comments, and we'll see them and we'll respond as you're commenting and stuff too. So, as well. So the last question was 2 more questions, but the one before we jump in and showing RPRs is how do I get a real report? Oh, I can't talk. How do I get a real property report, an RPR in Calgary? Like, what is the basic steps of how I get a real property report in Calgary?
So for that, like if you're doing an update, I would recommend again going through the company that's listed on the bottom of your RPR. The simplest way is just giving them a call, saying that you need to update it. Some surveying companies in the city have online forms, or you can just give them a call and then they can direct you how to do that.
Totally.
Also, if you are getting the RPR yourself, so you can get it done through the surveying company. The majority of them also offer a service where they can take your survey to the city. Yeah. So depending on like if it's located in Calgary or if it's Rocky View or Airdrie, so they will take that there for you. It is an additional fee, but it's a great service.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I guess at the end of it, for what I hear you saying, is you need 3 things to get a completed RPR. You need to have a survey company.
Yep.
You need to have it looked at by the city for the bylaws, and then you need a compliance stamp.
Correct.
So those are the 3 things that you need for having a completed real property report.
Yep.
To kind of summarize that. That's great. So let's take a look at, I'm going to share a few things here. All right. So we're going to take a look at some real property reports as we are looking at this, because we've got some interesting things on some past RPRs. Mm-hmm. So we have whited out a lot of stuff in here. So saves the innocent, protects the innocent. Is that that's what you say? So Jess, why don't you show us? Actually, before you jump in, I want to show everybody. So bear with me as I kind of move around, because I'm going to show you some stuff. So this is an example of where you would look on an RPR for who it is created by. So if you have an old one and you're like, oh, how do I find the RPR and who do I call? Look at the company that's labeled on the RPR. Yep. That's going to be the best way. So I'm going to let you take this away and talk about and share all of your knowledge on how do you look at an RPR? When you're looking at this, what should you be looking for?
So me, if I'm looking at an RPR, I'm wanting to... So here's an example.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm looking at RPRs to make sure that everything that's on the property is still there. Or if I know that they have something else that's there that might have just gone missed. One thing that I think it's been within the last 2 or 3 years, like AC units have to be on RPRs now.
Right.
Wasn't a thing in the past.
Yes, so that's your air conditioners, AC.
Yeah. So this is like a nice RPR.
Yeah.
This is an RPR that meets all the bylaws. I submitted it for compliance and it was easy.
Easy, yeah.
So easy. Came back, everything was good.
And so, and on here too, you can see, so when you're kind of showing people, you can't see my mouse moving around, but you see the house in yellow.
Yep.
And then there are, the orange on this one are kind of the structures around. So you have a wood patio on the back, you have another deck, you can see a concrete, a GL, that's probably like a ground level, there we go, ground level concrete pad. It shows that there's a metal pergola on the back, which is that gray structure on the back. Little things like you can see down here where it says lot 48 on the bottom. You can also see right above that, you see that 38.43. That shows you the depth of your lot. So you can see a lot of things on this in terms of what your property is.
Yeah.
Even things like this over here, where it shows a URW. Do you know what that stands for?
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors. No, just kidding. It's a utility right away. And so that means there's some utilities going up that side of the building or the lot, all that kind of good stuff. So again, this is a clean, very simple RPR.
Another thing to note in case people don't know is the X's are where your fence is.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah.
So let's show this here so you can see a little bit clearer. So this would be the back corner of their lot. And all of those X's, so you can see, this one says fence is outside the lot by 0.1 meters, I believe. So it's a little bit out, but they approved it. It wasn't far enough. It was within the bylaws and the restrictions, or whatever you want to call it, regulations. So, okay, cool. So that's what a really clean RPR looks like.
Yes, that's what I hope to see.
That is what we want to see.
Yeah.
It really is what we want to see. All right, so let's take a look at the next ones here. So this one is a different RPR, and this is a company, Global Raymac. So if we're getting new RPRs, we're typically going to Global, are we not? Yeah, we have a good relationship with them.
They're great.
Yeah, a good group of people. So, so maybe walk us through this one. So this is a different house, different location. You can see here again, all of their stuff on here. So wood patios, wood decks, concretes, but wait, what is that? Tell us.
So Yellow boxes, again, it depends on what surveying company you're going with. Global Ramac does yellow boxes, which will outline if anything is encroaching.
It's like an evil yellow box.
When I see those, I'm like, no.
Evil yellow box.
So for this one, it's just saying that the planter encroaches entirely into the ODRW, which is the Overland Drainage Right of Way. So you can see that at the back there with like the striped lines.
Yeah.
That is the planter box. It is covering a concrete swale.
Okay.
That's something that you don't want to cover. So for this,
especially with a fixed structure.
yes, yeah,
100%.
it is just completely covering that. So when stuff like this happens, it will go to encroachments. This one was circulated to their drainage department at the city. And for this RPR, the suggestion was it had to be removed entirely, meaning that the planter box wasn't allowed to stay. Sometimes with encroachments, you have two options. You can either remove the structure or you can apply for an encroachment agreement.
Yeah.
This case, the option was not for an agreement. It was only, it had to be removed. And that is when the encroachment advisory would then be voided once you've removed it.
So this one here, why, and we were talking about before, why this doesn't have a void. Usually you'll have a void stamp over top of this and it shows that it was fixed or they looked at it and it's completed. They'll usually ask for proof or photos, all that kind of stuff. This one in particular, so if you're selling your house and you have something like this, and let's say you already are in contact with the buyer and you've already like negotiated, it's conditional, this comes up, or it's firm, this comes up, you can always go back to the buyer as a seller and say, hey, this is the problem. It's going to be a problem no matter what in the future. Are you okay if this stays? And then what happens is the buyer can just accept this as is, knowing that they will need to either remove it themselves in the future, or they can also just say to the next person when they sell, if it's all the same and it looks the same, will you accept it as is, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is if the city ever had to come in and fix anything and do anything, they're going to rip this out and they're not reimbursing you for fixing it. Yeah. So that's kind of the risks for this specific one anyways, when they're looking at it.
Yep. That actually brings up another point. That's why it's like really important to get your RPR done while you're still the owner of the home.
Oh yeah, good point.
Because if this comes into play and someone else has already purchased your home, we're going through your RPR process and we realize there's an encroachment or a relaxation, you now have to get approval by the new buyers in order to proceed with anything. So it's easier when you're the owner, so you can make all those decisions.
100%. All right, so let's take a look at this next one. And that's a lot of evil yellow boxes on this one. This one, when it came back, I think Jess took a week off. And part of it was because her eyes hurt because she had to look at all these little yellow circles and being like, what's going on here?
This is my favorite RPR to show people. It's a great example of how crazy an RPR can get. How sometimes things like this happen where there's a lot of encroachments. This one also, I remember, needed a relaxation because the deck was too high. So if this was ever to come back for you, don't panic.
It's just going to be a process.
Yeah, it's just going to be a process. So
I mean, on the good side, the fence was okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was just looking, I'm like, the fence is good here. That's a good thing. That's a positive.
Yeah. So sometimes it gets a little confusing. I think I was trying to find one. I think I had one where it had 24 boxes and I was like, oh my gosh.
There's a lot of problems.
What is happening?
So in this, when we're looking at this one, just so everyone understands, like for Ramac or Global Ramac, when they're doing it, they'll number them and then show where the problem is. Yes. So like number 5 at the front of the garage, so you can kind of see like right there. So number 5 on the garage, scroll over, look at this. It says the garage encroaches into the MARW. And so I don't have everything in front of me, but the MARW, it's for whatever reason that is, it's saying that it's encroaching somewhere in there. Oh, that could be the width right here of how far it needs to be from that property potentially. is my guess, because 7 probably is the same thing. Yeah. So it's probably that. So here's your MARW, and it shows you in the plan and all that. Oh, sorry, you can't see my mouse, but you can see it in the purple there. So it's a process, because you're going to have to walk through every single point and address all of this, or you're going to have a seller or a buyer, sorry, who's okay with it and accepts it as is. Yeah. Now, if I was the agent on the other side, I wouldn't allow my buyers to accept this. I'm just being really honest, because you are now taking on someone else's headache, and it becomes your headache. And yeah, I mean, if you look at this front area, looks like it has rock retaining walls, patio blocks. It's probably got planters or grass on the front. Like, it's probably a beautiful front. I don't know if you remember this house.
Yeah, it was nice. It had like a lot of stuff like built up on it. It looked really great.
Well, we can clearly see it had a lot of stuff built up on it, can't we?
Yeah. So for stuff like this, like, we went through the process of getting everything done. And then it was good to go. I wish I had an example of what it looked like at the end, but this was back when we didn't do things virtually, and digital stamps. Digital stamps are great now.
Yes, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, so much easier.
Yeah.
Because everything is just done online, and everything is tracked through emails, and it's awesome.
Sweet. I am exhausted from looking at RPRs. It's a lot of detail for a person like me.
Yeah, I love them.
You love them. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I mean, we went a deep dive into RPRs, what they are, how do they look, how do they work, how do you get it, how much does it cost, how do you review it, all that kind of stuff. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions at all about this, you can always email into us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca, or give us a call at 587-316-5400. And actually, you might get Jessica if it's during work hours. Yeah. So if you have questions about your RPR, you're a client of ours, always reach out to your agent. We're here to help you guys figure this out. We're not going to leave you high and dry. And our goal when we're working with sellers is to really be proactive. Even if we see, like, it's still on our screen here, but if we see an RPR like that one where there's 17 or 20 encroachments, we want to work through that with you. Yeah. We're not going to leave you high and dry. So, and it's really important to make sure that this is done right, because this can cause some delays at closing if this isn't done properly. So on that note, we've talked enough about RPRs. I'm good. So hopefully this has been helpful. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions. Leave your comments below, and always subscribe to our channel. Share this if this has been helpful. And on that, we're going to see you guys in the next video. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. If you're still watching this video, I want to thank you so much. And just for that, here are some other great videos that you can click through, a playlist about our wholesalers, guides and videos of how to sell your home better. And I hope we can help. If you have any questions, always reach out to us at 587-316-5400 at the office, or info@chamberlaingroup.ca, and we'll be able to help you guys as soon as we can. Have a great day.